proceed.
I ask that my full statement, that I be allowed to complete my statement before the vote.
Without objection.
Madam President, the vote the Senate is about to take is about what is right for our nation. It is part of exercising our most solemn duty as elected officials. It's a recognition that Congress not only has the power to declare war, but also should have the responsibility to end wars. And it's a decision to turn the page on one of those chapters in our country's history. With today's vote, we can move closer to repealing two obsolete and outdated authorizations for the use of military force against Iraq. Repealing these authorizations will demonstrate to the region and to the world that the United States is not an occupying force, that the war in Iraq has come to an end, that we are moving forward working with Iraq as a strategic partner. So I commend the Senate for moving forward to take this critical step. I hope the Senate will speak overwhelmingly in support of preserving congressional prerogatives as to when and under what circumstances we send our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters into harm's way, and clawing back authorities that have clearly outlived their purpose and scope. Now, some of my colleagues have argued that repealing 20- and 30-year-old authorizations will weaken our ability to confront Iranian aggression. Some have offered amendments that would alter these authorizations. Others have offered amendments that would expand these authorizations. And a few have offered amendments that have, well, quite frankly, nothing at all to do with these authorizations. So let me address that point briefly. Just in the last few days, the President directed targeted strikes against groups affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Syria. This was in response to Iranian-backed drone attacks that killed a United States contractor and wounded 5 American service members at a maintenance facility in Syria. The President looked at the intelligence, he consulted his advisors, he ordered the strike, and he committed publicly to continue to defend against Iranian aggression and to respond to attacks against U.S. forces. He did so without relying on the 1991 or 2002 authorizations for use of military force against Iraq. This president has been clear in his view that he has sufficient authority to defend against threats to U.S. personnel and interests. If we're going to debate whether to provide the president additional authorities, then we should have that debate separately. But it should not be under the cloak of keeping old authorizations on the book, authorizations that are not needed to meet any current threat. They're not about the current threat. They're about a regime that's no longer alive and is gone for the better part of those 20 years. This is just a tactic to delay this repeal from going forward. Nor should we turn a debate about repeal and a chance to take a historic step forward into a new backdoor authorization for the use of force against another country. So I urge my colleagues to stay focused on the facts, repeal an authorization that is no longer used or needed, close this chapter on American foreign policy. Let's finally repeal the 1991 and 2002 authorizations for use of military force against Iraq. I urge my colleagues to vote to move forward with repeal of these AUMFs, and I yield the floor.